Well, take that. In the world of cyberspace, a message sent in capital letters like that one is a real no-no. It's like picking up the phone and shouting at the person on the other end. Well, so how do you communicate emotion on the Internet? Well, those clever Internet cadets have come up with a special set of symbols and a code of conduct called, of course, Netiquette.
And joining me now from the Midday office to show us how to behave in the wired world is Jim Carroll, author of the Canadian Internet Handbook. Hi, Jim.
Hi there.
So if I write to you on the Internet in uppercase letters, it's really rude?
People get stressed about it. I mean, it's difficult to read. It's difficult to understand. It's not easy to read, and people get a little bit concerned about that type of typing.
My goodness. So I guess there's a whole way you have to operate when you're writing on the Internet. Can you give us a few of the basics?
Well, psychologists have actually studied it, and I guess the key problem is that you don't see the normal body language of somebody speaking when you're sending electronic communications through the Internet. So there's a few things you don't do. You don't send capitals, stuff all in capitals. People call that shouting. And they do say it's difficult to use. Another thing is that when you write a note, you shouldn't copy in everybody. It's very easy to send a message to the president of the organization and send the same message to 300 people at the same time. That certainly causes a lot of people stress because, I mean, people simply start to get too much electronic mail. It's too easy to copy in too many people. And probably the third thing, it happens to a lot of people. It's a really strange development, but what happens with people on electronic mail is they can write something that they might not otherwise say or ever put on paper. They can get very angry very quickly and type with anger into the keyboard. We call that flaming. And inevitably, somebody's flaming. Somebody does it at some point. At some point, somebody using electronic mail will send something, and they'll really regret it later because they'll say things that they didn't mean to say.
So you actually have a term for people who are angry who are writing notes.
Oh, yeah, and it happens regularly. You can see messages from people. You wonder, why did they ever send me that? Boy, they must have been in a really bad mood when they typed it out.
Amazing. All right. Well, is there a site on the Internet where you can find all the things you should and shouldn't do? And
There's all kinds of sites. Psychologists are studying it. Sociologists are studying it. It's really a point of fascination for a lot of people. This is an example site that we have here, a beginner's guide to effective electronic mail. And it gives you a lot of tips and pointers about what you should be doing in your messages, what you shouldn't be doing, how to write the message, how to enunciate some of the key points that you're trying to make, the fact that you shouldn't type in capitals, just some of the do's and don'ts of the information highway.
Now, there are all these symbols that you can use for communicating. And what are some of those symbols?
Well, people call them emoticons. I guess people came up with
Emoticons?
other methods. Emoticons. And it means emotion icons. And people came up with methods to say, you know, this is how you can get across that you're happy, that you're sad, that you're angry, or that you're winking at someone. And what they do is they type in little computer symbols, and when you look at them sideways, they represent something.
Okay, so the first one we saw there was happy, and this one, when the happy one is on its side, what does that tell us?
That tells us it's a happy face, and that means if you look at it sideways, there's the mouth, there's the nose, and there's the two eyes. It's the way people will type a message and they'll put that at the end of a sentence so that you'll understand it's a joke or that they're happy about something.
Now, is there a sad face?
You just turn the bracket around the other way and that gives you a sad face. And you write that in a message when you're trying to get across to someone that you're sad. And it's all part of this thing that you don't see the normal body language of people, so you've got to use other methods to get it across.
And is there, like, what other things, like a surprise?
There's one about surprise. That's 2 dots with a dash and a circle for the mouth. And that's sort of somebody sitting there going, oh, like this. There's literally thousands and thousands of them. People are trying to catalog them. And some people, I guess, they don't have a life. They're just trying to dream up all of these various symbols.
So do we have seasonal ones? Like, is there a Christmas one?
Somebody's come up with a Santa Claus one. We can see here that we've got a hat. We've got something for the eyes. We've got something for the beard and something for the mouth. You turn it sideways, and it's supposed to represent Santa Claus. I suppose with a stretch of the imagination, it could.
Well, now, I guess, now I just happen to have in my hand here a book of these little symbols, which is they're called smileys, right?
Smileys, that's another name for them.
And they have all kinds of things, and I guess there are over 600. One of them, there's a symbol for Star Trek was preempted this week, so I guess they just cover the whole gamut of everything to communicate.
And when they brought that book out, they actually had a competition to see who could design the best smiley, and they had submissions from straight around the world. But there's a really serious issue at play here, and that is that, you know, as more and more people plug into the network, it's changing the way people communicate. You know, if I sit here and say to you, I'm really mad at you, you might see the anger in my voice. Where if I type that into a message, I'm really mad at you, there's nothing to indicate if I'm mad or if I'm joking as I say that, and that's what these symbols are used for, to try and, you know, clarify what we're saying through the keyboard.
Well, that is interesting, because it is going to change the way we communicate. But, you know, Jim, why can't we just write? I mean, we have a language here. Why can't you just write, I'm so happy I could jump up and down, as opposed to using a symbol?
Well, some people do that, but the culture of the Internet and the culture of electronic mail that is emerging, you can do that via a little happy face, you know, in a couple of keys rather than writing out a whole sentence. And with the millions and millions of people that are out there and participating, they'll understand you. They'll understand that you're saying that this is something happy or this is meant to be a joke.
So is this culture going to change the workplace then?
I think any organization working with electronic mail or these electronic communication technologies discovers that it's a very, very powerful cultural tool. There's been all this talk in the business press about the need to flatten the organization and to open up communications between management and staff. I think organizations that put in electronic mail discover it is a very, very powerful to do this. A very powerful tool to do this. We've seen CEOs of major corporations using email to communicate directly with their staff, and their staff kind of go, wow, this is incredible. You know, he or she is talking to me directly, and it helps to open up the organization, helps to change the organization into a more open organization over time.
Well, that really is fascinating, Jim. Thank you so much. It's very clear, very understandable.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll see you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.